Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today on this webinar. We're here to talk about the future of managing print queues, where that's going, why that's important today. And with us, I have a couple of distinguished gentlemen on our call today. We've got Raf from ACDI and Matt from PaperCut. Gentlemen, you want to take a quick second and introduce yourselves? Raf, go ahead.
Yep, Rafael Junta, product manager here at ACDI. Been working in tech and print industry for over a decade. I'm a techie at heart and just excited to tackle some of these topics.
Awesome. Matt?
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt. Mark, Raf, thank you for inviting me. I'm pretty excited to get into it today, especially with so many people on the call. I'm certainly feeling the pressure a little bit, especially as it's live, as Mark hinted at earlier. Some of you may recognize me, but if you don't, then I'm part of the product marketing team here at PaperCut. Believe it or not, I've been at PaperCut now for 9 years. I can't quite believe it. I've been in print now for like 20 years. It makes me feel really old, but 9 years at PaperCut. I used to be pre-sales tech, so very much in the technical weeds of things, but now in product marketing, here to try and hype up all the latest features that we're launching. And we're going to be talking about some of those things that are coming soon today as well. If you catch me outside of PaperCut, then I'm a bit of a coffee snob, not going to lie. But yeah, really excited about today. And yeah, thanks for having me on.
I think that's a prerequisite to join PaperCut is you have to be a coffee snob. So yeah, Dave Farrell, I don't know how I got in by liking tea, but it's okay, especially Matt being English, will allow you to like your coffee. So everyone, why are we here today? It's interesting the path that we're going down in print with the world of, all the changes that are happening today. Matt and Raf and I have been working with PaperCut and some of the other ASCs on a global working group and talking about direction of where we're going with Hive and MF. And over the last probably 18 months, really been talking about print queue deployment, where the future of that lies within PaperCut, within our channels throughout the world, right? And so that's kind of what fostered us to host this webinar today. We want to talk to you guys about where we're going PQD and queue deployment, right? And for us to get started, the guys wanted to talk a little bit about the cloud. Why is the cloud important? Why does the cloud help drive this necessity, if you will, for print queue deployment? So before we get into the future stuff, let's talk about a little bit about what's going on in our industry today. Here's some stats that Raf worked really hard on with ChatGPT pulling these out. But I thought they were very relevant for today's conversation. As we look into the cloud and where we're going, this stat just boggles my mind to say, hey, cloud adoption is effectively reached saturation with 94 to 96% of all enterprises using cloud connectivity. But then when you think about it, I mean, is there really any one of us today that doesn't deal with some sort of cloud product, whether it's our phones, whether it's our streaming services that are out there, whether it's our email and our Google Drives or whatever you're using, right? It's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But, when you start peeling it back to really what's specific to us, you look at up to 60% over the businesses over the last 5 years are running the majority of their workloads. So there's still, even though a lot of us have some sort of cloud aspect running in our lives, there's a lot of business functions and features that are still haven't moved to the cloud. And I think that you actually, have some interesting stats and stuff that you found over in Europe, right? What's going on in your world with regards to cloud?
PTC, especially in Europe as well, we're seeing cloud adoption just accelerating so much. But I was doing some research the other day and came across this stat from Forrester, and they were saying that 31% of cloud customers who are migrating to the cloud are actually missing their planned timelines. And it comes back down to the complexity of trying to take legacy applications to the cloud. And we all know that print infrastructure is one of those stubborn headaches, which of course means a massive opportunity for everyone on this call.
Yeah, Kyle actually nailed that as well, right? On the chat group there, figuring out that most MSPs, realizing after cloud that they didn't include print management, right? And where that's going. And that's kind of why we're here talking about this today. So Kyle, thank you for teeing that up for us a little bit
I
more.
think that what Kyle says there resonates so much with me because the number of customers you speak to who, whether they're using Jump Cloud or Jamf or Intune, or maybe they're even using a mix of both because they're using different operating systems and they're having to use multiple tools. Some of them support some sort of printer deployment, some don't, but it's just not a nice place to be.
No, I agree. And I think Microsoft is really pushing us to get there, right? And they have been since day one. We go back to the world of print and drivers and what they've meant to the world of custom drivers or system drivers and everything like that. So, Raf, what do you think is happening in the world of Microsoft with Universal Print?
So yeah, we see universal print coming into the forefront, and it's really pushing that let's go to cloud initiative. We see a lot of other products emerging in the market. Something interesting that I've noticed is with a lot of third-party applications, they're really only supporting like 2 or 3 brands, right? That they're focusing in on, and not really a truly agnostic approach. Now, universal print is a more agnostic approach, but some people have some misconceptions of what it actually is. A lot of times you still need either a print server in your environment in order to be able to host those print queues, or if not, you have these new MFDs or multifunctional devices that do support universal print natively on the device, but the setup might be a little bit slower, the implementation. We know how important it is for our partners to implement quickly. So that's why personally here at ACDI, we love working with PaperCut. And Matt, maybe you could give us some insight to those 2 products that we have there.
Yeah, I think what you've got here is a pretty powerful combination, in my opinion. So you've got PaperCut Multiverse and PaperCut Hive, because it's going to solve not just the customer's problem, but hopefully some of the challenges that you can have with rollouts as well. So let's talk a little bit about Multiverse. That's the tool for you guys, the resellers. And I think it completely changes the game when it comes to service desk. I didn't have this tool when I was out in the field, and I wish I did, because it's allowing your teams to remotely provision and manage PaperCut Hive all from single pane of glass. So you're not having to go and juggle admin logins for every tenant. You're not having to, get on a Zoom session just to get into their admin dashboard. And I've got to say that Multiverse, it's a product that's going to grow as well as we do more and more with the cloud. And I'm going to say, if you join the Partner Summit event in next week, then you'll see a little sneak peek of what's coming soon for Multiverse. If we then look customer side, you've got PaperCut Hive. This is our true SaaS cloud product that we're seeing so many customers now actively ask for. The print queue deployment feature of PaperCut Hive is a massive piece of the puzzle. It's going to handle those immediate real-world problems, the friction points that we're seeing so many customers have. That could be your ARM64 devices, your Macs, your Windows, your whatever it wants to be, we're going to handle it. But I think what's important is that Hive isn't just about print enablement. It's giving your customers a platform that's going to grow with them. You're going to get the full print management suite, but you're also going to get a product that's going to support them as that modern print stack kicks in.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. Multiverse is probably a product that doesn't get enough visibility. We love it here. Again, all 3 of us are kind of tech backgrounds. And when we look at that product and what we're able to do with it, it's, I think it's fantastic. And the ability to grow with it in the future is outstanding. So, when we look at why print is becoming more visible in the forefront today, I think there's a few items that you really have to look at, right? Security is a major concern that everybody is having right now. And I don't know, a lot of nightmares. It's not Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's maybe, print secure nightmares and things that are going on in the world today that keep a lot of the IT administrators up at night. Technologies, everything's evolving, where we're going to the cloud. Are we having data lakes? Are we keeping a hybrid approach to how we're storing our data? And then when you look at print, I mean, the whole world of print, again, with that print nightmare going on, Microsoft is trying to change the world. Nobody wants to mess with drivers. Print's not sexy. Print's not what IT people want to get up and work on every day. So that's why we in this space, and especially with our partners with PaperCut, we want to try to help make that easier for you, our reseller and your customers, right? And so, Raf, what are your thoughts on this? What are you seeing from a product standpoint?
Well, definitely seeing that things are changing, right? We have these evolving technologies that are coming into play. Like you said, lots of security concerns. So that's what's kind of forcing these changes. And then also there's a lot of issues with the IT teams handling these type of problems, right? New technologies means new training. So how do we deploy this stuff? Big challenges coming up.
What
And
about Windows Protected Print? Is that a challenge, Raf?
yes, sir. That is definitely the big ticket item that we hear when we're talking to all of our partners, right? WPP for short, right? So if you guys have ever heard the acronym, it's like, what is that? Well, it's basically Windows shift to driverless printing. So it's not a product itself. It's not something that you buy. It's something that you turn on the client side. And it's basically moving away from those traditional drivers and using what they call the print support applications, PSAs. So that is how they're going to be supporting like your finishing options and things like that. It's basically leveraging IPP. So that's a protocol that means Internet Printing Protocol, right? And then there's also an alliance of all of the major manufacturers called MOPRIA. Basically, if there is a MOPRIA certified device, that means that it's going to work with Windows Protected Print. But we have something else as well that is challenging our users. And that is the rise of ARM64. Something that's interesting, and this comes from Matt's team that we found out, 1% of our customer base has enabled WPP, but 11% of them have ARM clients.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's a big challenge. And Matt, you were telling me some interesting stuff about some of the operating systems that are coming out here soon. So if you want to chime in on that.
Yeah, so I think I'll just add on the ARM piece as well, because I think what makes that even more challenging is we're seeing that not all manufacturers are actively embracing ARM right now. You know, we've seen, I want to say it's like 4 or 5 manufacturers have released an ARM print driver, your traditional print driver for your ARM devices, allowing customers to bridge the gap between now and when WPP and Modern Print Stack come to the mainstream sort of thing. You raised a really good point about operating systems. We saw end of last year, Windows 10 went end of life. And what that's done is sort of triggered customers to look more widely than your traditional x64 computers. So we've got ARM64 computers. You might know them as Copilot Plus PCs. You might recognize them as Microsoft Surface devices. They're having massive success in the market, but it's not just them. There's also Apple. Apple released the MacBook Neo. If you haven't heard about it, very low cost Apple device, trying to get them into the lower cost verticals, your education especially. So they're now making major inroads. And then earlier this month, Google dropped a massive announcement as well, because, you know, we're all familiar with Chromebooks, but now they've said, oh, Chromebooks, we want to do something new. It's now the Google Book. So coming later this year, you've got the Google Book, which is going to sort of shift to more of a unified Android operating system. And that's going to now bring another operating system that we've got to take into account. So now we've got Windows x64, ARM64, Mac OS, Chromebooks, iOS, which is mobile, Android for mobile, and now you've got Google Books that are going to run an Android operating system. So it's a mess right now, and that's just making a big opportunity to get into a customer and start to solve some of this for them.
And that goes back to what we talked about earlier, right? The concerns that are going on, all these evolving technologies, right? You know, this ARM64, I think, is going to be a big play in the future of changing what's happening around print and adding many more frustrations for IT administrators, especially when you start talking about, we talk about mixed fleets all the time, but you're talking about mixed environments, Windows, Mac, Google, all in, schools, healthcare, whatever that may be. And so it is really going to create a lot more management frustrations moving forward and how we're going to do this. The great thing about this is our friends at PaperCut and ACDI, our team here, we're on top of it, right? We understand where it's coming, what's coming in the future. What are we going to be able to do to help you guys understand it, breaking it down a little bit from what does this technology mean? How is it going to affect your customers? And then what pieces of the product portfolio will help you solve each of these. So it's a lot going on, but exciting for us to see how it's going to be in the future. Roth, what's next? We got things to be aware of.
So just kind of bringing into focus what WPP and ARM64 mean for a lot of our customers. There's a stat here to the right that's super interesting. 25 to 50% of IT help desk tickets are related to printing, right? So, network administrators, system admins have a million things to worry about. Why not help them with one of their biggest headaches, right? WPP, also something that somebody doesn't, or a lot of people are not aware of, is that when you activate it, it's on the client side, not necessarily on the server. And when you activate it on the client, it deletes all of the traditional print queues and drivers along with it. So that's something that administrators need to be aware. That's something that we can help bring to their attention. WPP is a security feature. It's not a specific product that you're going to have to buy. Microsoft is doing a really good job trying to align it with Universal Print, and Universal Print is not necessarily free. So when you're looking at your options for addressing that, you want to take into consideration what is going to be most beneficial for the end user. And it might be a product like PaperCut Hive or PaperCut MF, right? Also, there's still 30% of legacy printers out there, right? So there's still a good chunk of them that are not going to support WPP or might not be ARM64 ready, right? So some things to be aware of. And then, like we mentioned on the last slide, ARM64 is such a huge challenge. So we're just trying to make sure that everybody's prepared to tackle these problems as soon as possible.
Yeah, Roth, you said something there that I want to key on. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say there's two things I just want to add to that is that those 7 million printers you mentioned that don't support WPP. I talk to resellers now who sell refurbished equipment or reconditioned equipment. And they're even going and selling to the market equipment that doesn't support or isn't going to support WPP. So I think making sure that you've got a solution for your customers that's going to cater for those 7 million devices is going to be really, really important.
Yeah, I reiterate that, right? WPP, it's a feature, right? It's a protocol that's going to be on there. It's not going to be coming on by default for a while. We actually think that it could get pushed out a little bit further, what's going to happen there. What I would kind of give you guys a preview to, our director of training, Chris Robertson, has done a ton of work on this along with Roth and the PaperCut team. We're going to be coming out with Debunking the Myth series of WPP. Chris is releasing that here in the next few weeks. So please get with your account managers to have Chris come in, talk to you guys about this, show you what we're learning. He's going to go into a lot of detail about that. So make sure you guys get on that schedule for Chris, which kind of leading into now, how can we help? The move to cloud and everything like that. What's going on? We got a couple of products here. I'm hoping everybody on this call knows what these two product names are. If not, give me a call. Let me know who your account rep is, and then we'll have some conversations about that. But we're super excited about these two products. Matt, 9 years of your life. Is it 9 years of your life spent on these products? Tell me a little bit about them. What do you think?
We all know it's been around in one flavor or another for, I think it's like 20 years, probably even more than 20 years at this point. I think it's still very much the flagship of PaperCut. I don't think you're ever going to reach a stage where 100% of customers are going to want to go cloud, and PaperCut MF is still going to be a part of the story for print management, print enablement, all the boxes for quite a while yet. But PaperCut Hive has come on leaps and bounds. If you're one of the people who embraced PaperCut Hive in the early days, I almost sit there and go like, it's almost unrecognizable from what it was when it started. There's so many new features, so much functionality, and importantly for us today, print queue deployment being introduced and coming out of beta earlier this year and now being generally available, ready to go and sell, scale, support your customers. You know, it's a massive addition.
Yeah, I love what you said there, right? I mean, MF is the flagship product, and you're correct. We're hearing the same thing. Some customers still have decided that they don't want to go to the cloud, or at least for print infrastructure, right? They're going to keep that on premise. And I think the approach that we're taking with these two products, the hybrid approach of enabling your customers to do either one. If they want to stay on prem, you've got MFS, right? If you want to go to the cloud, you've got Hive. It's the best of both worlds come together. Use Multiverse to manage those, right? Do what's best for your customer, right? Meet them where they are, as we like to say here at ACDI. And I think, right now we're the only product portfolio, if you will, that has that end-to-end hybrid approach, move back and forth between the products if you need to best suit your customers. So we're super excited about that. So Raf, when we look at these couple of products with Hive and with MF, or, talking about the cloud, why is print enablement playing such an important role in these conversations today and moving forward?
Getting the right printers to the right users has been a headache for a lot of our end users. When I'm talking about end users, I'm talking about the administrators, right? Like the ones running the day-to-day of these environments. And what PaperCut has done has given us two great options, right? We have the MF option, which is print deploy, and we have the Hive option, which is print queue deployment. And basically, like I said, it just helps implement the right printer to the right person using whatever kind of technology they need to. So whether it's a traditional driver, ARM64 or IPP, if they're implementing WPP, there's also some caveats that we have to be concerned with there, but there is an answer there. I'm happy to say that we have probably the foremost expert in PaperCut deployment options, which is Matt Lee. Matt, do you want to run us through some of these key differences and the benefits of each?
Yeah, certainly can. So as we start off, print deploy, PaperCut MF, it's been around for years now, and it's the tried and tested solution. We've got customers with hundreds of thousands of clients running on print deploy and deploying their print queues. You've got all the flexibility. You can do your user deployment, your group deployment, your network deployment. You can make sure you get the right print queue to the right person, and you can get those zones set up that allow you to do that. It has got some unique key points where print deploy is going to really shine. Number one, if you've got a customer with VDI, print deploy is the place to go. If you've got a customer that loves the idea of optional print queue deployment, personally as a user, I don't want to have to think about stuff like that. Some customers want to give that flexibility to the user to choose which queue gets installed. You've got that in the print deploy client. So some real power in print deploy. Then you've got print queue deployment, and print queue deployment in PaperCut Hive, we took all the learnings from print deploy and really importantly, that tried and tested queue deployment technology that installs the drivers and gets the queues onto the user's machine, and took that into the cloud. And print queue deployment, straight out the bat, we had the key deployment options. You could deploy to specific networks. Networks most often translate into locations. We can do it on individual users, and we can importantly do it on device as well, because we know we've got those situations where specific printers in specific rooms with specific computers, we want to make sure we get the right queues out to those users' machines. Now, one thing I will mention, because I know we do get asked about it, is I'm used to print deploy. I can create my zones. I buy zone-based licensing. I'm familiar with that. What about print queue deployment? Well, print queue deployment, we've changed it up. We license on printers in print queue deployment. So you just license your printer, deploy as many queues as you want for that particular printer. So I personally like to think the Hive is a little bit easier to grasp on that front, but two different options, both very powerful, and yeah, a lot of flexibility.
Hey, Matt, we got a lot of salespeople in this call, and one question that comes up a lot from the field is you just mentioned, hey, it's licensed by the printer kind of thing. What if it's an MFD? Do they have to buy the full license or still buy a printer
Oh,
license?
Mark, because yeah, you're not the first one to ask me that. So let's just, for anyone that's maybe new to Hive, you've got three different types of license that you can get for your printer. You can get a printer subscription, you can get a light embedded, which is a sort of a print release app on the machine, or you can get your full embedded. I'm going to say your full embedded is what most people are going to be familiar with because that's what you would have bought on MF for your device. In PaperCut Hive, the difference is you can buy any license for any device. So if I've got my fully featured MFD with finisher and tandem paper trays and whatever we want to add to it, I can buy a printer subscription for that and just deploy direct queues to that device, as many direct queues as I want. On the other end, if I've got a desktop machine that happens to have a screen that can support an embedded, I can buy a full embedded for that. And importantly, I can deploy as many direct queues as I want for that as well. So ultimate flexibility. We're not tying anyone down here in Hive to say, if it's an MFD, you have to buy the most expensive license just because I want to deploy print queues. You can buy whatever one most suits the customer.
That comes up a lot. And again, people get confused by the names. So let's remember print deploy, traditional, been there, it's MF. Print queue deployment, PQD. You'll hear us talk about that a lot, will be Hive moving forward. So speaking of the future, just teed it up for that. I'm giving you all a second to breathe right now. Get your stuff ready to go. Are you excited about the future, the roadmap? What are we doing?
So there's a lot happening and a lot to be excited about. Let me just start off with modern print stack, WPP, what's happening. People have got a lot of questions. And we're basically going to have two options for this. And it's really important why we're going to have two options. Let me start with the slightly more simple one. We get asked a lot, are you going to support PSAs? PSAs are, I'm not going to go too technical on this. When you go file print, you go to preferences, you see that branded screen from the manufacturer where you can pick your duplex and your stapling and all that nice stuff. That's a print driver. Print driver is not supported anymore. A PSA is that nice branded interface with all the options without the print driver on the back of it. So you still get that full functionality of the device. But importantly, PSAs are for Windows and just for Windows. So it's great for a customer who's running all Windows, but what about Mac? On Mac, we're going to see eventually, it's probably going to be a little bit behind Windows. There's going to be a new version of Cups, and that's going to stop supporting PPDs. So we're going to have the same problem on Mac. Another one is I want finishing options on Chromebooks. Yeah, we've heard it. But PSA is not going to solve that either. So we're also looking at driverless IPP printing. And what that's going to be able to do is you're going to be able to go into MF or Hive, and you're going to be able to query the device to say, hey, device, what options do you support over IPP? And your modern devices are going to come back and say, if you tell me I can do stapling over IPP, I can do duplex, I can do booklets, I can do all these things over IPP, and you're going to be able to serve all those options up to the user. And then they're going to be able to pick it and print as they would. But really importantly, that's going to then enable them to do that on any operating system. It's not going to be limited to just Windows.
Matt.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have a question. I know it kind of says it there in the bottom, but the legacy printers. So we mentioned that there's like a ton of them, right? Is this going to be able to handle that as well?
Yeah, so a great point, Raf. And yeah, that's definitely something that we're going to look to handle. We're looking to build this translation layer, if we want to call it, that's going to sit between the user who has to submit a job via IPP and the printer that can't understand IPP. As we go over the next few months, we're going to have a lot more to share on this, but we're looking at that way that makes sure the legacy device isn't going to become redundant or not be able to be used by the customer anymore just because they decide to enable WPP or use another device that's going to get all this rich functionality that IPP brings with it.
Yeah, so For all of you on the call, when your customer says, "Hey, I'm ready to go to WPP," throw up a red flag. Say, let's take a step back because the world might not be ready for it right now, right? Universal drivers going on, Universal Print, Microsoft. There's so much in there. So let's pause that. We got a great webinar coming up. We want to take you through that. Ask the question why ahead of time before anybody is ready to flip that switch. Because it's once you flip it, everything's erased, and it's going to be difficult to go back.
Yeah, so that's a great point, Mark. And we can see it in the market. Not every manufacturer is out there with their PSA tried and tested and all the customers ready to be rolled out across the board yet. They're coming, but they're not there quite yet. So definitely, you've got two products here that customers can embrace today. And as they go forward, they're going to be ready when that WPP and the modern print stack comes along. Now, I love giving a little teaser about what else we're working on. So I'm going to jump in and share a couple of other things as well that fall outside the slide. I know there's going to be people on this call. There's so many partners that have said to us, I need groups in PaperCut Hive. And it's a given. You need it. And it's coming. You're going to see it in June, July time. I haven't got the exact dates in front of me. You're going to see groups come to PaperCut Hive. You're going to be able to sync them. You're going to be able to bring in the users just based on the groups they're in. And importantly, you're going to be able to deploy queues based on those groups as well. That's coming. If you want to see a preview of it, Partner Summit is the place to be. We've got a deep dive specifically on that piece. One other one I want to talk about, because this is something we get a lot of feedback on, especially from customers, is the client for PaperCut Hive. Customers give us some feedback to say, having this two-component setup to the client of having the edge node component and the print client makes it challenging for them to go out and deploy it to their users. And we hear them, we're going to be changing it. So PaperCut Hive in the near future is going to consolidate that into a single client component. So we'll have more to share on that soon as well, but that's a really exciting one that's coming up soon. So yeah, a couple of other bits to tease people with.
Well, we appreciate that, right? And I think that kind of goes back to the statement that you made earlier. Hive is not the product today as it was 4 or 5 years ago. It continues to evolve. And we can say the same thing about MF. Everything that's been added, we continue to develop in both applications. And, we got to continue to change. Technology is evolving. ARM64 is coming out, right? It's all these things around print. The PSAs are driving us to new technologies. So I appreciate Matt, you and the entire team there at PaperCut for everything that you guys are doing on the back end to make these products the best that they can be. As Matt mentioned, we have the PaperCut Summit upcoming next week. Scan that QR code. If you haven't registered, please do so. You're going to get a lot more information about some of the stuff that Matt's talking about with quite a few other new features, new things that are coming out. I think the title is Who Broke Print? That's up for debate. I mean, we could probably talk for days and days and days about that. I'm going to blame a lot of other people. But
you're going to see in Partner Summit, it's not just one thing that broke
that's
printing.
Right. Yeah.
There's WPP, there's modern print stack, there's all these different devices hitting the market. There's also the network getting involved as well, with customers getting into the subject of zero trust and things like that. So there's a lot for us to cover at Partner Summit, and really exciting agenda.
Yeah, you're going to tell us who broke it, and then you're going to tell us how PaperCut's going to fix it. See, that's the greatest thing. It's easy transitioning over. So we're super excited about that. A couple of other things I do want to announce before we do jump off here. We got some trainings coming up here at headquarters. We have our standard training and advanced technical training. We're also going to be on the road throughout a lot of cities in the US and Canada. There's no fee to join these. Bring your team out. Come spend a day with Chris and the rest of ACDI. We'll do a day of training, and then we'll go to dinner, do some fun stuff. I do want to highlight the one in October is in Portland. We're hosting that at PaperCut headquarters. Sign up, first come, first serve to get that one. There will be a maximum limit on that one, but we'll get to interact with the PaperCut team there in Portland. So we're super excited about that. Raf, Matt, I want to say thank you to you both for the contributions to this, for contributions to the product, for making us better. As our mission statement, Josh pointed out today here at ACDI, it's better than yesterday, and that's what we try to be every day. You guys presented really well here and taking us to the future. those of you that are on the call, there's the PaperCut portal where you can find more information. Our ACDI website, a resource center, a resource hub that's out there available for you. Pick up the phone, call Roth. Matt, even though he's sitting over there cooking up some amazing coffee in the UK, he's a great resource for us. And if you give us enough notice and you want to have Matt come on there, I'm signing him up. Matt can help us out and get some more information, but he's a wealth of knowledge for all of us. And we're just very blessed to have him be part of our group. So thank you guys. Thank everything. We will record this webinar. We'll get it out there. If there's other questions that come up, get a hold of your account reps and we'll go from there. Gentlemen, thank you.
All pleasure.
Thanks very much.
Yep. Cheers.
Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you a week from today at the Partner Summit. And Matt said something about a bunch of giveaway. He's giving out some special coffee. I don't know what that is, but you know,
giveaway. You've triggered me now. If you haven't seen it, there Print Queue Deployment, PaperCut Hive, there is new online training, and a bit of a deadline for you. If you get in this week and do your online training, you'll go into the draw to win one of 150 $50 gift cards. But get in there, do the training, and get in that draw, because I'm sure that'll buy quite a few cups of coffee.
Not at Starbucks. You get like 3 or 4, maybe, you know, but better coffee. Anyway, thank you all so much for taking the time out today, and we'll see you in a week.